8 biggest USA cars you've probably never heard of. Americans love big things, big burgers, big houses, big dreams, and apparently, big cars that nobody talks about. Today, we fix that. Oh, and trust me, number 1, it'll make your jaw drop so hard you'll need to pick it up off the floor. Number 8, the 1957 Chrysler Imperial Southampton. Let's kick things off with something that sounds like a British royal palace, but is 100% American steel. Meet the 1957 Chrysler Imperial Southampton, a two-door hardtop that stretched an almost absurd 224 inches from bumper to bumper. That's over 18.5 feet of car. To put that in perspective, a standard parking spot today is 18 feet. This thing barely fit in a parking space. It basically was the parking space. Chrysler launched the Imperial as its own standalone luxury brand in 1955. Desperate to compete with Cadillac and Lincoln. By 1957, they went full theatrical. The Southampton had massive reverse-angled tail fins, the kind of fins that made you feel like the car was about to take off into orbit. And chrome detailing so aggressive, it looked like the car was wearing a tuxedo to a monster truck rally. Under the hood sat a 392 cubic inch Hemi V8, pumping out 325 horsepower. In 1957, that wasn't a car. That was a weapon. The interior was equally unhinged. Chrysler actually partnered with Ghia of Italy to handcraft special Imperial Crown versions. We're talking hand-stitched leather, real wood trim, and a dashboard so wide you'd need binoculars to see the passenger. Only 1,729 units of the Southampton were sold in 1957, and almost nobody today knows it existed. But if you think that was big, wait until you see what number 7 looked like. Because this next car wasn't just big. It was basically a private jet. With wheels. Number 7, the 1966 Lincoln Continental Executive Limousine. You've heard of the Lincoln Continental. But have you heard of the Lincoln Continental? The one built specifically for the President of the United States. The 1966 Lincoln Continental Executive Limousine, sometimes called the State Car, was an extended version of the already massive Lincoln Continental, and it was huge. We're talking a stretched wheelbase that pushed the total length to 252 inches. That's 21 feet of pure American power. This wasn't a car. This was a rolling Oval Office. The Secret Service worked directly with Ford Motor Company to spec this vehicle. Armored panels, reinforced glass, a raised roof section so the president could stand up inside. Because apparently sitting is too casual when you run a nation. A rear-facing seat, a communications console, and a retractable roof section for open-air appearances. Which, after 1963, became controversial. The engine was a 462 cubic inch V8, massive by any standard, though with all that armor added, it needed every single one of those horses just to get moving. Several of these were built between 1964 and 1968 and used by Presidents Johnson and Nixon. Some sold at auction for over $500,000. And the wild part? This was based on a production car you could walk into a Ford dealership and sort of buy. Sort of. Now, number 6 takes big in a completely different direction, because this car wasn't built for presidents. It was built for families. Lots of family. Like the whole town. Number 6, the 1974 Checker Aerobus. You know the Checker cab. That boxy yellow taxi that defined New York City for decades. But did you know Checker made a version so massive it could seat 12 passengers? Meet the 1974 Checker Aerobus, an extended station wagon variant of the Checker Marathon, and one of the most uniquely American vehicles ever built. Checker Motors Corporation, based out of Kalamazoo, Michigan, had been making taxis since the 1920s. By 1974, they stretched their already boxy Marathon platform into something extraordinary. A 129-inch wheelbase vehicle with 3 rows of forward-facing seats and a jump seat row, totaling up to 12 people plus a driver. Length? Approximately 226 inches. Weight? Over 4,500 pounds. It rode on a Chevrolet drivetrain, a 350 cubic inch V8, and had the turning radius of a small cruise ship. Hotels use them as airport shuttles. Airports use them as tarmac transporters. Some funeral homes use them. And a handful of extremely large families bought them just for road trips, which must have been an experience nobody forgot. Production of the Aerobus was tiny, only a few hundred per year at peak, which is exactly why almost no one knows it today. Okay, number 5 might be the most outrageous car on this list so far, because it wasn't just big, it was built by a company that had absolutely no business building cars. None. Zero. Stay right there. Number 5. The 1978 Zimmer Golden Spirit. What happens when a boat manufacturer decides to make a car? You get something like the 1978 Zimmer Golden Spirit. And it is magnificent in the most gloriously over-the-top way possible. Paul Zimmer founded the Zimmer Motor Cars Company in Florida in 1978. And his vision was simple: build the most flamboyant, neoclassic luxury car America had ever seen. He wanted it to look like a 1930s classic: long hood, external exhaust pipes running along the sides, massive chrome headlamp pods, a convertible top, but with modern reliability underneath. To achieve that, Zimmer didn't reinvent the wheel. He just stretched one. The Golden Spirit was built on a Ford Mustang chassis, specifically the Fox body platform, extended and completely reskinned with a custom fiberglass body that added dramatic length and presence. Total length, around 216 inches. It looked like someone crossbred a 1930s Rolls-Royce with a Miami Vice episode, and people loved it. Celebrities bought them. Frank Sinatra reportedly had one. Liberace was a fan, which tells you everything you need to know about the energy of this car. From 1978 through the late 1980s, Zimmer produced roughly 1,500 to 2,000 units total. They weren't cheap, starting around $35,000 in 1980, which is well over $130,000 today. Now we're entering the top half of this list, and number 4 is where things get seriously wild, because this car was so big, so bizarre, and so American, it came with its own zip code. Almost. Number 4. The 1973 Buick Electra 225. The name alone should tell you something. The 1973 Buick Electra 225. The 225 referred to its length in inches. 225 inches. Buick was so proud of how massive this car was, they literally named it after the measurement. That's 18 feet, 9 inches of full-size American luxury. Longer than most modern pickup trucks, wider than some studio apartments, and wrapped in enough chrome to blind a passing satellite. The Electra had been around since 1959, but by 1973, it had reached peak excess. The 225 badge had become so iconic that people literally called the car the Deuce and a Quarter, and that nickname stuck for generations. Under the hood, the 1973 model ran a 455 cubic inch V8, producing 225 horsepower. Ironic, matching the name. Though torque was the real story. Over 360 pound-feet, which meant this thing could pull a small building off its foundation. The interior was plush to the point of absurdity. Velour bench seats so wide, 3 adults sat comfortably across. A dashboard that stretched from here to next Tuesday. Acoustic insulation so thick the cabin was nearly silent at highway speed. GM sold over 66,000 units in 1973 alone. America was all in on big. Number 3 is where we cross from just big into genuinely unhinged. Because what's coming next wasn't built for roads. It was built for a statement. And that statement was, well, you'll see. Number 3. The 1960 Cadillac Series 75 Fleetwood Limousine. By 1960, Cadillac was the undisputed king of American luxury. And the Series 75 Fleetwood Limousine was their throne. Stretching to 245.4 inches, just over 20 feet. The Series 75 was a hand-built, factory-ordered vehicle that took Cadillac craftsmen significantly longer to produce than a standard Cadillac. You couldn't just walk in and buy one off the lot. You ordered it. You waited. And when it arrived like royalty. The rear compartment featured a glass partition separating passengers from the chauffeur, Rear-facing jump seats, reading lamps, storage consoles, and upholstery options so luxurious, Cadillac brought in outside upholstery specialists. Power came from the legendary 390 cubic inch V8, producing 325 horsepower. Smooth, quiet, and absolutely effortless at highway speeds. Heads of state used them. Movie studios used them for glamour shots. Funeral homes converted them into hearses that cost more than most people's homes. What makes the 1960 Series 75 legendary isn't just the size, it's the craftsmanship. Every seam, every chrome accent, every piece of glass was fitted by hand in GM's Fleetwood coach building facility in Detroit. Production numbers were intentionally tiny, fewer than 2,000 units annually, because exclusivity was part of the product. Okay, we're at number 2, and this car is so big, so absurd, so wonderfully American, it almost defies explanation. But number 1? Number 1 makes this look like a compact car. Don't touch that screen. Number 2, the 1976 Lincoln Continental Mark IV. The 1976 Lincoln Continental Mark IV is the kind of car that makes automotive historians simultaneously weep and applaud. This was the personal luxury coupe taken to its absolute extreme. 2 doors, a hood so long you needed a separate mailing address for the front grille, and an overall length of 228 inches, making it one of the longest 2-door production cars ever built in America. Ford developed the Mark IV as the successor to the wildly popular Mark III, and by 1976, they had refined excess into an art form. The Cartier Designer Edition came with a real Cartier clock embedded in the dashboard. Not a Cartier-branded clock. An actual Cartier timepiece, because of course. The 460 cubic inch V8 under that enormous hood produced 202 horsepower, which sounds modest until you realize this engine had torque like a freight locomotive and could cruise at highway speed so smoothly passengers forgot they were moving. Over 56,000 Mark IVs were sold in 1976, making it one of the best-selling luxury cars in America that year. People chose this. They woke up in the morning and said, "Yes, I need 19 feet of car." And they were right.
Now, number 1, the biggest, most insane production car ever built in the United States. This thing was so massive. Actually, I'll let you find out, because you are not going to believe this is real. Before I reveal the actual number 1, let me acknowledge the elephant in the room, or rather, the 100-foot limousine in the room. J. Orberg's American Dream, a custom-built 26-wheeled, 100-foot-long vehicle with a swimming pool and helicopter pad, technically exists. But it's a custom, not a production car. So for the biggest production car ever mass-manufactured in the United States, the one you could actually order from a catalog, the crown goes to the 2003 fabulous car, the 1973 Cadillac Fleetwood 75 9-passenger sedan extended by Stageway coaches. At a staggering 263 inches, nearly 22 feet, the extended Stageway coaches version of the 1973 Cadillac Fleetwood 75 is widely considered the longest factory-extended production vehicle ever sold in the United States through official commercial channels. Stageway Coaches of Fort Smith, Arkansas was a GM-authorized coach builder that took the already massive Fleetwood 75 platform and stretched it further, legally, commercially, and with full warranty coverage for hotel chains, funeral companies, and government transport contracts. Inside, up to 9 passengers in supreme comfort, jump seats, rear-facing seats, a partition storage consoles. Air conditioning throughout, front and rear independently controlled. The 472 cubic inch V8, one of the largest production engines Cadillac ever built, powered the whole thing. At full weight, nearly 6,000 pounds, it was essentially a bus wearing a tuxedo. And here's the wild part. These weren't rare curiosities. Hundreds were produced and put into active service across American cities. Airport hotels used them. The U.S. military used limousine variants for visiting dignitaries. State governments ordered them, they just disappeared. Quietly retired as fuel prices spiked in the late 1970s and cultural attitudes toward excess shifted. But for one glorious era, you could order a nearly 22-foot jet black Cadillac from an authorized dealer, hand over your check, and drive away in the largest production automobile ever built on American soil. And that is your list. 8 of the biggest, most jaw-dropping American cars most people have never even heard of.
Now here's what I want to know. Which of these would you actually drive today? The golden monstrosity that was the Zimmer? The presidential Lincoln? Or maybe you're a Cadillac Fleetwood person, full 22 feet, 0 apologies. Drop it in the comments. And while you're at it, Is there a massive American car we missed? Because trust me, this country has been building oversized, chrome-covered beasts for a long time. We may need a part 2. If you learned something new today, and I know you did, hit that like button, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.